Ashes of Gold, The Rise of Mara Quinn. The city of Halberd gleamed like a promise. Glass towers rising over gray slums, a skyline of ambition shadowing streets where dreams starved quietly. In this city, wealth wasn't just power, it was law. Mara Quinn learned that truth the hard way. She grew up in the Rust District, a forgotten maze of crumbling buildings and chemical-smelling factories. Her mother, once a teacher, worked nights at the textile mill. Her father had vanished after a failed protest against the corporate giants who owned the district. But Mara was different. She was sharp, observant, the kind of quiet that made people underestimate her. Her whole world revolved around a single name: the Vancroft family. Owners of Vancroft Industries, the corporation that controlled half the city's resources. And at the heart of that empire was Liam Vancroft, charming, handsome, untouchable, the heir to everything Mara could never have. She met him when she was 17. Mara had earned a scholarship to the prestigious Halberd Academy, a school that belonged more to the rich than to the city. It was a place of marble floors, gleaming cars, and names that came with legacy, not effort. She walked its halls feeling like a foreign body, dressed in second-hand uniforms and patched shoes, while the others wore designer arrogance. Liam noticed her not for her grades, but for her defiance. She wasn't like the other poor students who kept their heads down. Mara looked him in the eye. That alone made her dangerous. The first betrayal. At first he was kind. He invited her to group projects, smiled at her in hallways, defended her once when another elite mocked her. She mistook his attention for friendship. He told her she was different, that she had potential. But for Liam, she was an experiment, a game to show his friends that even the poorest could be molded, manipulated, and humiliated. It began with whispers. Liam's new charity project, they called her. Then came the party. His birthday celebration at the Vancroft mansion. Mara was invited, nervous but hopeful. For once, she felt included. The night was glittering, filled with laughter and champagne. Liam handed her a drink, smiling that practiced smile. "You deserve to feel like you belong," he said. But what she didn't know was that the drink had been spiked. The pictures that followed, her disoriented, slumped, confused, were shared across every student's phone by morning. Liam claimed ignorance, said she had had too much to drink, and called it a tragic misunderstanding. Her scholarship was revoked for behavior unbecoming of an academic representative. Her mother lost her job 2 weeks later. Vancroft Industries was the mill's biggest client. Liam had destroyed her with a single party. Mara disappeared from the academy, from the city, from everything. But she didn't vanish into despair. She vanished into silence, and silence was her weapon. The rebuild years passed. The city changed, but the balance of power didn't. Rumors circulated years later about a mysterious entrepreneur, a woman named Mara Quinn, who had founded a tech forensics firm called Redline Analytics. Her company specialized in data tracking, fraud analysis, and corporate exposure. It began small, tracing stolen wages, fighting corporate exploitation, but grew into something larger, something sharper. Her methods were surgical. She didn't just find corruption, she dismantled it. In 6 years, Redline Analytics became the quiet terror of corrupt corporations. Her clients range from investigative journalists to government watchdogs. Her headquarters? A modest office overlooking the same skyline that once crushed her dreams. But what no one knew, not even her employees, was that everything she built had one purpose: to bring down Liam Vancroft, the Web Titans. Liam had become CEO of Vancroft Industries at 28. His charm turned into ruthless ambition, his arrogance refined by money. He was the face of ethical capitalism, smiling for cameras, donating to charities, sponsoring scholarships for underprivileged youth. Mara watched every broadcast, memorizing every word, every smirk. She infiltrated his empire one bite at a time. Redline Analytics Network traced shell companies linked to the Vancroft conglomerate. Offshore accounts, secret transactions, illegal labor contracts, all hidden behind clean PR. But one discovery froze her blood. A private offshore fund titled Halo 7, registered in the Cayman Islands, showed periodic payments to a familiar name, the same university dean who had expelled her years ago. The pattern was precise. Every few months, payments coincided with new scholarship announcements, all of which went to students handpicked by Liam. The system was still rigged. He hadn't just ruined her, he'd built an empire out of other people's ruined chances. Mara's revenge plan evolved. It wouldn't be about exposing him to the public. That would be too easy. She wanted him to feel what she had felt: isolation, humiliation, and powerlessness. The infiltration. Through a network of digital proxies, she posed as a private investor from Singapore, Elena Ward. With her fabricated portfolio, she began attending Vancroft's high-end investor events. When she met Liam again, 10 years after that fateful night, he didn't recognize her. Her transformation was complete, her hair neatly styled, her accent sharpened, her confidence radiating quiet control. He saw a woman of status, not a memory of guilt. "Mr. Vancroft," she greeted him at the gala, her voice steady. "I've been following your company's growth with great interest." He smiled, exactly as she remembered. "Then I'm honored. Investors like you are the future." They shook hands. Mara hid her tremor behind a practiced smile. Over months, she played her role perfectly. Emails, meetings, whispered strategy sessions, until Liam offered her a private partnership deal to expand Vancroft's overseas operations. He had no idea that every signed document, every transferred file, every recorded meeting was being mirrored and archived by Redline's AI core. Mara had found his weakness: ego. He loved being admired by powerful women, especially those who seemed impressed by his brilliance. The breaking point. The deeper she went, the more she uncovered. Child labor contracts disguised as training programs, bribery trails linked to government officials, illegal waste dumping near the same slums where she'd grown up. And then she found the document, an internal memo titled Project Renew, detailing a redevelopment plan to demolish the Rust District to build luxury apartments. Her childhood home was on that list. That was the final trigger. She knew what she had to do. The fall of Vancroft. It began quietly. Anonymous leaks started appearing online. Not enough to destroy, just enough to make investors nervous. Reports of financial discrepancies, whispers of fraud, unexplained offshore transfers. Liam scrambled to find the source, firing staff and hiring cybersecurity firms. Then came the day of the Vancroft Global Summit, where Liam planned to announce a $1 billion expansion deal. Cameras from across the world were tuned in. Mara was in the control booth, calm as ice, watching through mirrored sunglasses. As Liam began his speech, smooth, confident, perfectly rehearsed, she activated Redline Protocol Omega. The screen behind him flickered. The presentation dissolved into a cascade of real data. Bank transfers, photos, internal memos, and videos. Every secret, every crime, every deceit, projected for the world to see. The audience gasped. Reporters rushed forward. Liam froze, eyes wide, face draining of color. "Who did this?" he barked, but his voice broke. The final image appeared, a high-resolution scan of that 10-year-old photo. Mara at his mansion, smiling nervously before her humiliation. Then, line by line, her image dissolved into flames, replaced by text that read, "You taught me how power works. Now I'm teaching you what justice feels like." The hall erupted into chaos. Investors walked out. Cameras flashed. Liam collapsed under the weight of exposure, his empire burning faster than he could breathe. Aftermath. Within a week, Vancroft Industries filed for bankruptcy. Investigations revealed decades of fraud and exploitation. Liam's assets were frozen, his name disgraced. Mara didn't disappear this time. She came forward publicly, revealing herself as the head of Redline Analytics, the company that had brought down one of the most powerful corporations in the country. When asked by a journalist why she did it, she replied quietly, "Because people like him think suffering makes the poor weak, but suffering taught me structure. It taught me patience. It taught me how to build systems that don't break." Ashes of Gold, The Rise of Mara Quinn. The rain had a habit of finding its way through the ceiling of the small apartment on Southmere Street. Every drop that hit the metal bowl beside Mara's bed was a reminder that she didn't belong to the world she dreamed of. The sound became her lullaby, her alarm, and her teacher. It taught her endurance. It taught her silence. Mara Quinn was born into the Rust District, a place where hope rusted faster than steel. Her mother, Elise Quinn, had once been a teacher, but when the schools closed and the factories expanded, knowledge had no market. Her hands that once turned pages now packed bolts of cloth for 12 hours a night. Her father had vanished when Mara was 8, after leading a protest against Vancroft Industries, the company that owned the mills, the housing, the stores, and practically the lives of every worker in Halberd's industrial underbelly. The police called it a riot. The papers called it an unfortunate accident. Her mother called it a message. And Mara learned to read between the lines. She was different from the other kids. Quieter, sharper, unflinching. While others played, she observed. While others complained, she adapted. Books became her escape, numbers her comfort, silence her weapon. When she won a scholarship to Halberd Academy, the elite private school funded by the same company that exploited her neighborhood, it felt like a door had opened, but in truth, she was stepping into the lion's den. The world of marble and mockery. The first day she walked into Halberd Academy, her shoes were polished but cracked at the edges. The marble floors gleamed like mirrors, and every reflection reminded her of what she wasn't. The students smelled of perfume, old money, and arrogance. They noticed her immediately, the new girl with the wrong uniform shade, the one who took the bus instead of being dropped off by a driver. And then there was Liam Vancroft, tall, poised, confident, with that expensive smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. He was the heir to Vancroft Industries, the empire that had swallowed her father's life. But Mara didn't know that part of the story yet. All she saw was a golden boy who commanded every room he entered. At first, he seemed different from the rest. When someone mocked her accent, Liam shut them down. When she dropped her books, he helped her pick them up. "You don't belong with them," he once whispered. "You're better." Mara didn't realize he said the same thing to every girl he wanted to control. Weeks passed, and her defenses softened. He invited her into his circle, study groups, coffee runs, late-night calls about literature and life. He told her she had fire, and that he admired people who fought for what they had. Mara believed him. Until the night of his 18th birthday, the party that burned her soul. She'd never been inside a mansion before. The Vancroft estate stood like a cathedral of wealth. Marble pillars, gold chandeliers, music floating from unseen speakers. Mara wore her mother's borrowed dress, slightly loose at the shoulders but ironed with care. Liam greeted her with a glass of champagne. "To new beginnings," he said, his smile warm and intoxicating. It was the kind of moment poor girls dream about, when the walls of class dissolve and someone from the other side reaches out. Except this wasn't a bridge, it was bait. By midnight, laughter echoed in strange tones. Someone handed her another drink, sweeter, heavier. She felt her head swim, the room tilted. Liam's hand was on her back, guiding her somewhere. A quiet hallway, a camera's flash. By morning, her picture was everywhere. A blurry photo of her half-conscious, leaning against Liam's shoulder. A caption that read, "Scholarship girl can't handle luxury." Her scholarship was revoked within days. The dean called it a moral violation. Her mother was fired from the textile mill soon after. Mara confronted Liam one last time at the gates of the academy, rain pouring down like judgment. "You ruined us," she said. He didn't flinch. "You did that yourself. You were just out of place." Those words etched into her bones like fire. She walked away from Halberd, from the city, from everything she had known. But she didn't disappear. She recalibrated. The Years of Fire. It began in the shadows. Night classes, data entry jobs, stolen Wi-Fi at library corners. She learned coding, digital forensics, economics, the architecture of systems that controlled power. Every rich man's empire, she discovered, was built on information, and every empire could fall if someone knew where to cut the strings. She built Redline Analytics from a rented basement in Eastport. The first contracts were small, exposing local landlords, tracking missing payrolls, recovering stolen pensions. Her reputation grew in whispers. A mysterious analyst who could find any secret, trace any transaction, expose any lie. By 26, her company was handling government-level investigations under fake client names. No one knew who she was, only that Redline got results. And in her private database, one name remained at the center of a red circle. Liam Vancroft, the Empire of Gold. 10 years after that night, Liam had become the youngest CEO in Halberd's history. His charm was now polished by money, his cruelty buried under philanthropy. On magazine covers, he was the visionary of the new era. On news networks, the golden heir. He spoke of bridging class divides and sustainable growth. But Mara knew better. The rich didn't change, they only evolved. Her team at Redline began quietly digging into Vancroft Industries, offshore accounts, shell corporations, falsified environmental reports. The deeper they went, the dirtier it became. Then one night, as she sat in her office lit by screens, she found something buried under layers of encrypted logs. A secret fund titled Halo 7. Millions flowing through hidden channels, into universities, political campaigns, offshore trusts. And one familiar name surfaced on the ledger. Dean Robert Malthus, the same man who revoked her scholarship years ago. The payments matched the dates of every merit-based award the Vancrofts had given. It wasn't generosity, it was control, a quiet purchase of prestige. And Mara decided that Liam Vancroft's control was about to end. The Return. Under a new identity, Elena Ward, a Singapore-based investor, she began appearing at corporate events. Her transformation was flawless. Tailored suits, precise diction, confidence sharp as a blade. When Liam first saw her across a conference room, he didn't recognize her. "Elena Ward," he said, shaking her hand. "You've made quite a name in Asian markets." She smiled. "I study powerful men, Mr. Vancroft. Your reputation precedes you." He chuckled, intrigued. "Then I hope it's a good one." "It's a fascinating one," she replied. That was the start. Over months she built rapport, subtle praise, strategic interest, quiet dinners. She became his confidant, his newest investor, his mirror. Liam liked women who reflected his brilliance, not ones who challenged it. And Mara understood that perfectly. Every file he sent, every document she reviewed, every network meeting she attended, all of it was being silently copied, tracked, archived. He was feeding her his empire, piece by piece. The ghost in the system, Vancroft Industries began to crumble without realizing it. Anonymous leaks surfaced, evidence of labor exploitation, falsified reports, black money trails. Investors began to doubt. Liam grew paranoid. "Someone's inside," he told his board. "Find them." Meanwhile, Mara continued to play her part. Calm, sympathetic, trustworthy. At one meeting, she found herself alone with him on the balcony overlooking the city. He poured them wine, his confidence slipping into something almost human. "Sometimes," he said, staring at the skyline, "I think people hate success more than they love justice." Mara tilted her glass. "Maybe because some people build success on injustice." He looked at her then, sharply, curiously. "You talk like someone who's been wronged." "Everyone has," she said. "Only some learn to return the favor." He smiled faintly. "You're dangerous, Ms. Ward." "You have no idea," she whispered when he turned away. Project Renew. The final piece came by accident. One of the encrypted files she intercepted detailed Project Renew, a redevelopment plan to replace the Rust District with luxury condos and shopping complexes. It was described as a necessary modernization. The projected demolition date, 3 months away. The Rust District, her home, her memories, her mother's grave. That was when revenge stopped being a mission and became destiny. She spent nights rewriting code, creating something new. Redline Protocol Omega, a digital time bomb designed to release every secret file, every transaction, every hidden deal of Vancroft Industries to the public simultaneously. But she wanted Liam to watch it happen. The summit. The Vancroft Global Summit was the crown jewel of his career, live-streamed worldwide, attended by investors, politicians, and journalists. The stage was set with gold banners, the backdrop showing the company's slogan, "Building Tomorrow, Today." Mara was there, hidden behind a professional smile, seated near the technical booth. Liam walked on stage, charisma radiating. "Today," he declared, "we unveil a new era of responsible leadership, a future for all." His words echoed across the hall, smooth and rehearsed. Cameras flashed, applause thundered. And then, the screens flickered. For a moment, the room thought it was a glitch. Then the Vancroft logo dissolved into code. Lines of text appeared, transaction IDs, account numbers, internal memos. Then photos, videos, government bribes, exploited children in factories, signed letters of payoff. Gasps erupted. Journalists grabbed their phones. Liam froze. What is this?" he stammered. Then, on the giant screen, a final image appeared. A faded photograph of a 17-year-old girl in a borrowed dress, standing outside his mansion, smiling shyly. Under it, a message appeared in red. "You taught me how power works. Now I'm teaching you what justice feels like." The crowd fell silent. Liam's face drained of blood. Cameras zoomed in as he stood helpless, the golden heir stripped of his empire, his image, his lies. Mara watched from the control booth. For the first time in 10 years, her hands didn't shake. The ashes. By the next morning, Vancroft Industries was collapsing. The media devoured the scandal. Investigators raided his offices. Politicians distanced themselves. Liam Vancroft was finished. He confronted her once, months later, outside a courthouse, looking hollow, broken, his suit wrinkled. "It was you," he said quietly. "You destroyed me." Mara looked at him, calm, steady. "No," she said. "You did that years ago. I just turned on the lights." He reached for her arm, desperate. "Why didn't you just move on?" "Because," she said, pulling away, "some fires don't go out until they've burned clean." She walked away, the city lights reflecting in her eyes, the same city that once broke her, now bowing under her shadow. Epilogue. The lesson in the smoke. Years later, Redline Foundation opened its headquarters in the restored Rust District, offering education, legal aid, and digital training for underprivileged youth. On the front wall, carved in stone, were words that became legend. Power built on injustice will always collapse under its own weight. Mara never sought fame, Her revenge wasn't about headlines or applause. It was about balance, about reclaiming what was stolen, not just from her, but from everyone who had ever been silenced. Sometimes, at night, she stood on her balcony, looking at the city lights. The skyline glittered like gold, but she knew what lay beneath it, and she smiled, because even gold, once burned, turns to ash. Moral lesson: power without empathy breeds destruction. Wealth can buy silence, but never redemption. The greatest revenge isn't violence or hate. It's rebuilding yourself so powerfully that those who broke you can never touch you again. Power gained by crushing others is a fragile illusion. True power lies in endurance, intelligence, and justice. The poor who survive oppression learn the hardest lessons: patience, resilience, and the art of striking when no one expects it. Ashes of Gold reminds us that revenge isn't about destruction, it's about restoration.